Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the Business Breakfast Briefers. I'm Mark Owen, and each week I invite a panel of business leaders or civic leaders to review the morning newspapers, find out what's happened in their own individual business and their own individual business sectors, and finally, what's caught their eye in this week's Punchline. But before I start, I just want to thank our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors. And I know I say it each week, but we really couldn't do the show without them. This week's hot topic is going to be the newly opened Cotswold Designer Outlet. Good or bad for the town and city? So we're going to ask the panel for a bit of an open discussion about that. Okay, let's meet the panel. Today we've got Cameron Thomas, Liberal Democrat MP for Tewkesbury. He was successfully elected with a majority of 6,262 on a swing of 24% from the Conservatives to the local Democrats, Liberal Democrats. Cameron's election marked the first time since 1885 that Tewkesbury had been a non-Conservative MP. He's ex-RAF, like myself, joined up at 17, served in several operations, including Iraq, United Arab Emirates, and the Falkland Islands. Cameron also served heavily in the training environment, including a tour as a drill instructor, training over 1,000 recruits in 3 years before resigning his commission as a flight lieutenant to enter politics. In August 2021, Cameron's team helped to plan the British withdrawal from Afghanistan. So I'm sure he's got a lot to say about in the news today, the hot topic about Afghanistan breach. We've got Clare Marchant. She's Vice Chancellor of the University of Gloucestershire. The university is split across 3 campuses, employs 1,000 staff, over 9,000 students, and a turnover of 90 million. The old Debenhams is going to become a new city centre campus. I'm very excited about it, actually. And it's not been an easy build, but it will be a game changer for the city when it's finished. That's my own personal view. So we'll find out from that. And we'll find out how it's progressing. We've got Keith Graham. He's the owner of the famous in Cheltenham. He moved his original business, Morgan DeVille menswear, from Gloucester to Cheltenham, then snapped up the famous name. He's been in retail for over 50 years and he's just back from a fashion show. So we'll find out from him what's the mood music like in the retail sector across the country and also on the Cheltenham High Street. So it's great to have you back on the show, Keith. And we've got
Thank you.
Claire Thayers, is the founder and owner and just relaunched Claire Thayers Associates, a company to support businesses and charities with the CSR and social value. A lot of people don't really understand what that means, so we'll find out from Claire what that does mean. With Kia, Galliford Try, Henry Boot delivering massive infrastructures projects across the county, we need to maximise this opportunity and also ensure local procurement to help the local economy. So Claire hopes to bring all the parties together, including public and private sectors, to truly make a difference. And I've spoke to Claire so many times over the years. She is I can't think of any more passionate to lead this drive. Okay, let's see what's making the papers today. We got the Daily Star. Have anyone watched the football last night? My goodness, that was close. Sweet dreams, says the Daily Star. The Daily Express. Labour in from the nasty voter surprise. The Mirror. 16-year-olds to vote in the next election. The Daily Mail. Police use facial recognition cameras at Notting Hill Carnival. The Guardian. Diane Abbott suspended by the Labour for the second time. The Sun. Road race slur to Kane's rap. The Times. Afghan data leak names British spies and soldiers. The Daily Telegraph. Votes at 16 as Starmer panics over reform. And that is the roundup of the newspapers. I'm going to start with you, Claire, because on the front page, obviously being university chancellor, what do you think? 16 to 17-year-olds. Can you tell us the basics of the story, please?
I think it's a great idea that's obviously being put forward. My view is, and I've worked with young people not just at the university, but when I worked at UCAS over in Cheltenham for 7 years, is that young people make really significant decisions from probably the age of 13, actually, when they choose their GCSEs. But certainly by the ages of 16, 17, they're either in employ, they can do lots of things at age 16, as we know, legally, and they're making big decisions about where they might want to study post 18 as well. So big, massive life choices. And I think we underestimate their maturity. We underestimate, actually, they can get themselves quite informed, and particularly in the age of the internet and social media, it's easy to get themselves quite informed. I think there's a worry about misinformation, and we always have a worry, whatever age group we're looking at, about misinformation. But I wholly welcome this. I think it is well overdue.
Do you think it's a political move by Starmer to obviously, hopefully, get more votes because he's not doing very well?
I mean, typically if you look at the demographic, you would say that actually it's more likely a Labour government than a Conservative government might bring this policy in, just in terms of voting sort of profiles. But regardless, these are the people that are going to live with some of the decisions that are being made now in 20, 30, 40 years. So regardless of your politics, I absolutely think it's the right thing to do.
Okay,
and I say that as a mum of a 17-year-old who can see some of the decisions my 17-year-old makes that are not so good, but still, I still think it's the right thing to do.
Okay, thanks so much. It's going to affect Cameron. So, Cameron, the next general election, obviously, you'll have all these younger people voting or not voting for you. What's your view on it?
Well, hopefully some of them will vote for me at least. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's been something that I've believed very strongly in for a long time, and it was in the Liberal Democrats manifesto too. Nobody can convince me that an 18-year-old who has had no interaction with politics is more qualified to vote than a 16-year-old who has perhaps been educated in politics throughout secondary school. And that leads me on to some of the challenges. We have to make sure that people are adequately prepared to use the voting system and to recognise the gravity of it. So I would like to see politics introduced into the national curriculum to a greater extent.
Okay, thanks so much. Very quickly, Keith and Claire with an eye. First of all, Keith, just top line, what do you think?
Well, I personally think it's too young at 16. Perhaps when you talk about an 18-year-old, it's a little different. But I think then young children are still forming their ideas. And I just think to start voting at 16 when they can't legally drink, there's many things they can't do. Can't buy a national lottery ticket or anything else, but they can vote for the government. And I think it's a political stunt on behalf of the Labour Party.
Okay, thanks for that. Claire with an eye.
Yeah, very quickly. Upon hearing the Brexit result, it was my daughter that was in floods of tears, age 16, saying, "Your generation has just voted for my future." I'll leave it there.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, Cameron, let's bring you back in. Obviously, Afghanistan data breach. You obviously helped with that. Can you give us your overview, please?
So I did help with it. But I think the withdrawal from Afghanistan is actually lamentable. I think it's caused a humanitarian crisis over there that was needlessly inflicted upon millions of women and children. That aside, this data breach is particularly shocking. And yesterday we learned that not only Afghans who had helped our armed forces have been put at risk, but also our own armed forces and some of those that are in the most secretive business. And that is a serious cause for alarm. We should recognise that this happened under the last government, and we have to hope that this government will get a grip of it.
Okay, no, couldn't agree with you more. No, very, very dangerous. Okay, Keith, what have you picked out from the papers, please, sir?
The state of the economy, actually, which this government was elected to be clear and transparent and to also go for growth so that we could afford all the public services that we badly need. And when you look at every single indicator that's going on, then I think it's just dreadful. National insurance increase, minimum wage, etc., has meant lots of young people being laid off by companies because they can't afford to do it. We've got unemployment at a 4-year high. We've got inflation now at 3.6%. Our GDP borrowing is going through the roof. Basically, we just need to get a grip to be able to afford all the services that we badly need to make this country a better place to live. And at the moment, you can see no hope. And my view is that come the autumn election statement, that this Chancellor will be putting up taxes again. Most of the public service extra spending is generated by the Labour Party with everything they want to do. Unfortunately, they've got no means of funding it. And they're just going to put more and more burden on industry and retail sector like my own. And it's just unsustainable.
Okay, thanks ever so much for that. Leading on to the conversations I've been having with obviously university, a lot of people are cutting back on their apprenticeships as well, which is a real worry. Talking to colleges right across the board. Let's go over to you, Claire, with an eye. Claire, or two eyes actually. Claire, Claire, what have you picked out from the papers?
I just wanted a bit of a light-hearted take on this. There's, I expect you've all seen it, the power of social media. Andy Byron, sorry, he's blaming Coldplay for a deeply personal mistake. So for those of you who haven't picked it up on social media, he is the chief exec of Astronomer, and he was captured on the big screen in Massachusetts at a Coldplay concert in a little clinch with his head of HR, bearing in mind he was supposed to be on a business trip. And I just think it's quite amusing that he's blamed Coldplay. And this actually just ties into everything that I do as part of my business. It's all about being responsible. And clearly the responsibility stays with him, not Coldplay.
No, easy to blame everybody else. Thanks ever so much for that, Claire.
Absolutely.
I just love the way he cringed. You could
He
just
just
see him
dropped
sing.
to the floor. Yeah, hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious. Okay, thanks ever so much for that. Claire, without an eye, let's bring you back in. The University of Gloucester, the city campus. How's it going? Because it's been a labour of love, hasn't it?
Labour of love is one thing to say, yeah, Mark. Obviously, it's taken a year longer than we would like, but it's due to open in the next few weeks. So during August, and super excited about it. In fact, I saw for the first time, I've probably been 10 days since I've been to the campus. So for the first time yesterday, I saw the furniture being installed. We've got all the tech being installed. We've got events planned from early and mid-August. Students, our teacher training students arriving from the end of August. And we've also got a call out, and this might be interesting for your listeners, Mark. We've got a call out for memories of Debenhams and Bon Marché. So if anyone's got memories at gloss.ac.uk, send them in, because we're doing a big sort of compilation of memories, because there's so many people approach us with their memories of Debenhams or Bon Marché. But it looks fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming students in.
Why has there been such a delay? I know there was bodies you found under there. Was it a structural thing? Was it, what
Yeah.
was the main delay?
I mean, it was compounded by several things. You mentioned human remains, over 250 different human remains found, which Cotswold archaeology have been absolutely brilliant. Rehousing those. That's probably not the technical term, but really making sure that they stay intact as they come out. But it's a 1930s and 1950s and 60s construction, so made up from those 3 decades. And some of those construction obviously were better than others, so that needed to be addressed. But also post-Grenfell, fire regulations and change of use meant that if you find anything timber or anything like that, then that's a really serious thing that you need to look at. So lots of construction challenges, as you say, over the course of what has been a 4-year project. But the team at the university, together with the contractor Morgan Sindall, have worked incredibly hard, and I am, looking forward to properly being able to thank them in August.
Well, I've got to wear my business hat if you don't mind. Obviously, 250, bodies removed is amazing, but there's a cost to that. And I believe someone was telling me it's like £1,000 for each one. And then you've got, obviously, it was 5 buildings. That's what I was told, all sort of stuck together. So the year over. What's the budget overrun, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, really significant. I mean, overall, of course, it's primarily been funded by the university, so many millions over that the university's had to fund. We did get some levelling up funding, as you probably know, and also the County Council Library are moving their County Council Library in there towards the late summer, so they've also funded that. So it's not all the university, but it has had a significant financial strain on us. But getting to the end, so I sort of, and I really think it's, as you said, going to be a game changer for the centre of Gloucester, along with the forum and some of the other developments as well. And I do hope the community will use it, because I don't just see it as a teaching and a research facility, but with the county council library, with a law clinic. We know some of our MPs have said that they'll come and do surgeries there. So I really think it will be a game changer. So looking forward to it developing over the coming months.
And I know that you're not opening the whole building like it was originally planned, isn't it? In order to keep costs down, which makes sense. how many? Because it's 5 floors. I mean, it's a huge building. I mean, I've obviously been around there and videoed it quite a number of times. How many floors are you actually using or opening on the first day?
So August, we will have 2 floors opening, so the ground and the first floor. We won't be opening the basement, but we're certainly in talks with partners, which about the 3rd floor. So looking at the 2nd and 3rd floor and seeing use of that is in line with the ethos of the building, which is very much about public realms. So that's that's exciting. So more to come on that, I would say, Mark.
Okay, thanks so much. And I'm looking forward to my next tour, by the way. We talked about that a number of times, so I'd love to see that. But you are you're jetting off, aren't you? I just want to say that a big thank you because I know you still got your suitcase there to pack and you're going off on your holiday. So thanks ever so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to go over to you, Claire. Great to see you. I know you for quite some time, and Claire Associates. So what are you actually doing?
Well, in 2012, I set up my own business, Clare, Thayers and Associates, because of the Social Value Act. So for those people who are watching who don't know what the Social Value Act is, in 2012, the government realised that actually it couldn't do as much in the communities as it used to. So actually by leaning on the private sector and saying for anybody who put a tender into the public sector, they had to deliver good things into the community to take care of people and the planet. So that's the basic premise of what social value is. So anybody that puts a tender in, they have to show and demonstrate exactly what they're going to give back. Now, it's worth a lot of money. So an example, just one project that's currently being worked on in the county is Galliford Try. That's over 210 million, I think. Don't quote me on that. But they have to deliver 30% of the value of that back into the community. Now, a lot of charities are rubbing their hands going, oh, they're going to give us money. It's not about the money. And you did a very, very interesting article about Benefact Group and how that every £1 that they put back into the communities is worth 37 times that, because they do pro bono work, they do volunteering, they support in so many other ways. It's not just about the money. So where I see my role is absolutely being the conduit between the private sector and the charitable sector, get them to talk the same language and create mutually beneficial partnerships, because businesses used to be a bit scared of charities, or they're just going to ask for money. It doesn't have to be like that. Charities can square up now because businesses are going to need to work with them.
I just want to say, Gotta Try is Junction 10,
Yes,
isn't it? Of the M5,
But all
which
of
is
those
near you.
Yeah, all those who've driven up by the air balloon, you'll see what Kier Construction are doing there. I have no idea of the worth of that. And of course, we've also got Henry Boot with the Golden Valley development. And that's just 3. There's so much going on across the county. So yeah, it's a huge opportunity for Gloucestershire, and I'm just going to make sure we make the most of it.
Now, there is a danger, obviously, that some of these companies just tick box. And that this is the big problem. How are we going to stop that happening and making sure that these companies don't get away with it? I think it's one of those big questions. Maybe we don't have a time to discuss it today, but thanks ever so much.
Just very quickly, just rest assured, I'm bringing together the social value leads for exactly that conversation. So I'm on it, Mark. Fear not.
Okay, keep me informed. I'm sure
I will.
you will. Okay, I look forward to that. Cameron, I'm going to bring you in. Thanks ever so much for joining. I saw you yesterday at the Gloucestershire Business Show. So it's been your first year. What if you were going to give yourself a school report? What would it be, sir?
Well, I would be more generous upon myself than perhaps some of my teachers were. I'd probably give myself a B.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the task in Tewkesbury was quite specific. It had felt, and of course within Tewkesbury, I include my areas of Gloucester, Cheltenham, Winchcombe, and all of the outlying villages. But they'd felt unrepresented for a long time. So whereas most MPs would typically spend Monday to Thursday in Parliament, for the most part, I've spent Monday to Wednesday in Parliament, and I've taken an extra day in the constituency, trying to get around as many businesses, schools, hospitals, the police force, the fire service, the Severn Area Rescue Association. I've really been very busy in the constituency, trying to show people that I am here, I am for you, and I'm available if you need me.
Because it's such a big constituency. A lot of people, obviously Tewkesbury itself, it's over in Churchdown, it's all over the place, isn't it?
It's almost in Churchdown, and in fact it was at the last election, but we lost Churchdown and gained Elmbridge. So I've got Long Levens and Elmbridge in my constituency, and I happen to live very close by to them too. But it is really difficult to show people that I am available to them when the name of the brand is Tewkesbury constituency. That's a challenge in and of itself. But I've been very active in Parliament too, and I've been very active on social media. We've been trying to get leaflets out. I've been on some media channels trying to show people that you are represented.
What's the biggest take back from your first year in Parliament itself? When you first walk into the building and you sit there as an MP representing your constituents, is it? Yeah. What was it like?
Well, it was astonishing. And I remember telling myself as I walked in, not to ever take that for granted, because you walk into Westminster Hall, you've got this enormous wooden roof aboard this atop this historic structure, and I have the privilege not just to visit, which is something of itself, but to be a member of that organisation, of that place. But it does become routine. There's no escaping that. And as it does, of course, I become more comfortable in the role. And I do feel probably since January that I have been in a routine at this point, and I'm getting a bit more polished at what I'm doing.
Well, no, I'm looking forward to working with you over the coming years, Cameron, and obviously helping as much as we can here at Punchline. So thanks for joining us this morning. Keith, let's bring you in now. You're out of obviously you run a fashion shop there. Just want to explain to our listeners what you actually do.
We're gentlemen's outfitters. We provide traditional men's clothing, and it's a very tough market out there at the moment. As you mentioned earlier, I was at the biggest menswear show in the country on Monday, which is based in Birmingham, a show called Index, and there was a lot of doom and gloom around the show because of the state of the economy and people obviously not spending money because they're worried about their futures and where and what's going to happen with the economy at the moment, which is in a bit of a downward spiral again. And footfall was down at the show, and really things are very, very tough at the moment, and I can't really see any improvement in the near future because there is so much doom and gloom, and the economic figures for the country are very bad at the present time. Moving on from that, locally, I think this fantastic new outlet centre at Tewkesbury that they've built, and it's extremely nice and well put together. I think that's going to have a huge effect on the local economy because it's going to draw people there, which means they're not going to come into Gloucester and Cheltenham and even Tewkesbury town centre itself spending money. And with the huge increase that the government did on local businesses with business rates and everything else this year, it's meant a real challenge for the whole economy, and I really don't see how this is going to change very much in the very near future. There was a discussion paper out last week about the restructuring of business rates, but it didn't make a lot of sense. So that was going to penalise a lot of the bigger companies. Well, you have these flagship stores. I mean, Cheltenham's very lucky it's got John Lewis, which does bring people into the town, but they're going to get eye-watering increases in their costs, business rates, which means they're going to lay off. I mean, Tesco, when the minimum wage and the national insurance kicked in, laid off thousands of people within their businesses. And these were all young people that often go to work at these places in their early careers before branching out into more sustainable jobs for themselves, And we don't seem to have any joined up thinking because they seem to make changes but don't look at the consequences of how that's going to affect the whole economy, and that's just the state of affairs. I mean, the Labour government said they had a plan when they came into power. They'd had 15 years to sort it out. It looks like they had no plan whatsoever.
Okay, let's bring that into because this is our hot topic this week. So I'm glad you mentioned the Cotswold Outlet. I was there from 8:15 till 5:30 actually the other day when it opened. So I stayed the whole day and then I interviewed around 20. In fact, I met every single store manager at the site. Then I interviewed some of the staff and had a look at. And I can tell you now, it was rammed. At the opening, they had 500 people queued up outside, and then the car park has over 1,000 car parks. Spaces was completely full, and although there was a lull around 2:30-ish, when the kids came back from school, it all kicked off again. So the big question is Cotswold Designer Outlet, good and bad for our towns and cities. I'm going to bring you in, Claire, without an eye. What do you think? Will it have an effect on Gloucester in the city centre there, at Cheltenham?
I mean, overall, I think it's a good thing. But and I would echo some of what Keith was talking about. It's that sort of pull from your main city centres. And we've seen some of that in the Gloucester Quays going back to sort of 10, 15 years ago and what happened to the centre of Gloucester. But if you're getting more people to the area as Gloucestershire, fundamentally, there's bound to be a sort of ripple effect from that. So I think it's good overall, but probably just needs to be managed in terms of how you signpost, how you feed into, particularly the centre of Tewkesbury and the High Street, which has got the heritage side of it, which the Cotswold Designer Outlet will never have. So I think there's a complementarity there that could work.
So with an eye?
Having worked in tourism, I work for Cornwall, Visit Cornwall. What I'm hearing through the tourism side, it's all about experiences. And I think the elephant in the room is the internet is already sucking trade out of the high street. When it comes to simple purchases, so many people do it online. So that is also a big threat without just the Cotswold Outlet Centre. So people will go there because it's experiential. And as I said, people will still continue to buy online. But I am a little bit sad because Tewkesbury, Evesham, a lot of our local high streets, they're struggling. And how do we, as Claire rightly said, how do we signpost to get that footfall back into the town centres?
Okay, Cameron, it's going to affect your constituents massively. I've been I deliver my magazines to the town centre there, and everybody I talked to was very worried about it. But what are you hearing, and what's your thoughts?
Much the same. I do think broadly this can be good for the county and certainly for Tewkesbury, but I'll be joining business leaders immediately after this to go and talk about just that topic. The challenge for us is drawing the people that come from afar to see this outlet centre into the town centre. And I think that the way we do that is by selling the heritage, because Tewkesbury is a beautiful medieval riverside town, and if we can sell that at the outlet centre, we get people into Tewkesbury town, and then you get footfall within those local businesses.
Well, I agree with you there. They put at the price of parking. Parking in Cheltenham is absolutely ridiculous. It needs to have a better parking structure to enable. That they have 1,000 parking spaces, and they don't have to pay a penny. And it's very easy to get to, very easy to get out again. A bit like Gloucester Quays with the coaches trip, come all the way from Merthyr and Bath and Bristol. I agree, you'd never have got those people in from those places beforehand, but they don't really trickle up into the town. Maybe Gloucester's failed to do that. Maybe Tewkesbury can be better. Yes, Keith.
Whole day parking in Cheltenham is £16.
Wow, okay. Which
so
is a t-shirt. Yes.
It's a lot of money.
How is the prom? Can you see the money being sucked out of the prom key?
Yes, I can. I mean, there was a review of retailing that was by a fairly large organisation last week, and basically they're saying that you're coming to the point now where there are too many retail shops chasing too little business, and then when new outlet centres like Cotswold Outlet come out, and don't forget that's only phase one. That is going to double in size with phase two. I mean, it's going to make it even worse. And they're talking now that they're going to have to repurpose the high street with far less shops. If you look at Montpellier in Cheltenham now, which we used to be a very, very vibrant area, now virtually all retail is disappearing from that part of the town, and it's the same everywhere. If you look in Gloucester with the four gates, I mean, the town centre has shrunk. Westgate Street, the bottom of Westgate Street, Northgate Street, all of these areas are all shrinking their retail, and those are now just charity shops and nail bars and these type of operations, which don't bring really any real money into the economy, into the local economy. I think they're gonna have to look at the high streets completely, because, as Claire said, not only are these things like the outlet centre, but the internet as well, which is taking huge amounts of business away from the high streets because it's more convenient for people. And parking charges in Cheltenham have a huge effect. The number of people that come into my shop and they're rushing because I've got to get back because I'll go over on my parking. I mean, we probably get that 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay, I'm going to bring Claire without an eye. Claire, your thoughts on that? Parking, all those sorts of different issues, internet?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I think growth for Gloucestershire generally is a good thing. I think it's the management of that needs to be careful. So I haven't been to the designer outlet. I will be going. I definitely will be going. So I think it's a good thing. I think in terms of parking, and we're looking at it at Gloucester City Centre at the moment in terms of students. Things like that and discounts for them. I am more of a fan of how do we encourage other sustainable forms of transport. So, I'm having conversations with my students about the scooters and using bikes and walking for what is a mile between our 2 campuses in Gloucester. So I suppose I would take the parking conversation into the sustainable piece rather than necessarily overly focusing on parking.
Okay, that's very interesting. Cameron, can I bring you in, please? One of the things I heard through the grapevine is that there was a number of outlets in the centre of Tewkesbury that have actually closed. Big brands have closed to actually move to, Mountain Warehouse, I think is one of them that is actually closing there. To go open at the outlet, and the same thing happened in Tewkesbury. Cheltenham.
Well, that may well be the case, and I haven't heard about Mountain Warehouse myself. It may not be the last, it may not be the only one. What I would say, though, is to try and put a positive spin on it, and perhaps we can get a local business move into that space on Tewkesbury High Street. I understand that the rates are quite reasonable in Tewkesbury, and maintain the high street. And again, make sure that we are managing this correctly and getting people's footfall from that outlet centre and onto Tewkesbury High Street.
I mean, personally speaking, I think it's phenomenal what they've achieved there. The Robert Hitchens family, it's been in the making for 30 years. It's been a dream, and they've created it. And it's made 350 jobs. I think Cheltenham, Gloucester and Tewkesbury have had a long time to plan for this. And I think the councils should look themselves in the face as the money gets sucked out of the town centres. They've really got to do it. And I think you've got Cameron, I really hope that you can really galvanise all the different leaders there and business community to make it work. And I totally agree with all the Claires and everybody. So it's going to be, and it's tough anyway, isn't it? I mean, as Keith knows, his bottom line, Keith, let's be honest,
Yeah.
Turnover's down, profits down. Don't want to be doom and gloomy, but that's the case, isn't it? At the end of the day.
I wrote to the local bid 6 months ago saying what we really need to plan and promote ourselves much more because of the outlet centre coming. I never even got a response from them. And this is the problem with it. If we don't promote the town centres, as Cameron said, and about all the benefits of a beautiful historic town like Tewkesbury, Gloucester even more so, when you look at all of the history of Gloucester and then the beautiful Regency town of Cheltenham, you have to promote these towns so people go to the outlet centre, but hopefully will then come on to our areas. But if they've already spent all of their money in the outlet centre, they're not going to spend much in Cheltenham or Tewkesbury or Gloucester, are they?
No, and also I think it was sucking the money out, but Bourton on the Water and the Cotswolds as well, because it's difficult. I was there, Bolton on the Water, talked to some of the traders there. They were saying it's changed from a couple of years ago. They used to have the elderly rock up with their coach trips. They'd save all their money, save all their pennies for a great day out at the Cotswolds. What actually happens now is just get seas of Chinese and Japanese tourists that are great to be there, but they don't spend a lot of money and they like to sit, take photographs and have picnics on the lawn. I'm not being generalising, just what I was told. That seems to be the case. So, okay, well, we're kind of running out of time already, guys. So we'll just not just go into, because it's the pick of the punchlines time. It's my favourite time of the show. Cameron, what have you picked out for us, please, sir?
A local business called P&M Group has been teaching primary school children about STEM subjects, which I think is really interesting and really important, because if you look at the makeup of Gloucestershire's heritage and the industry that we have here, we really need to ensure that young people see STEM, engineering, and aviation as a path they can take.
Okay, thank you for that. Claire and I, what's picked out from this week's Punch?
I was just really inspired to read about the crowdfund Cotswold. It's just opened its new round of funding for local projects. It's been going, it was launched in 2021, and they've given out £1 million worth of funding to local initiatives. You don't have to be a charity. It's open to individuals and to groups, just helping local people. And I just think that's a wonderful initiative, and perhaps every district council should follow them.
Okay, Keith, what have you picked out from this week's Punchline, please?
Well, it was just basically, which we've already touched on this topic, was the outlet centre. I thought you wrote a really excellent article in your Punchline yesterday, which dealt with all of the issues which we've discussed at length. And I just feel that is for the town centre of Cheltenham, where my business is. I think that really is a hot topic at the moment. And watch this space and see what happens with it. I just think it's quite an interesting time, let's put it that way.
The one thing that caught me, I came across these three Filipino lovely ladies with their bags absolutely bursting. There's the photograph I took of them standing there with their bags up. They were having the time of their life. I've never seen them so happy. So happy. I thought, shall I ask Mrs. Owen to go there? Maybe not.
I should just jump in, Mark. Very quickly, Mark, just to say, when people say where's the number one tourism destination in the UK, people think Buckingham Palace. It's not. It's Bicester Retail Village. Just thought I'd share that with you.
And they've got aspirations, I tell you that now. Yeah. Anyway, Claire, without an eye.
I really like human stories. So there's a University of Gloucestershire lecturer, Richard Cook, who is cycling all the way to Spain for a conference and taking sustainable transport along the way. And he is doing it for cyclists for cancer, so raising money for cancer. And as a cyclist myself, I thought it was a lovely human story. A more serious note, I really like the one about tackling antisocial behaviour in Gloucester with the police and city council coming together. I think that's a great one for the summer and as we open city campus.
Okay, thanks very much. My story for the week has to be the Cotswold Outlet. I spent all day there, and it's going to be big news. Watch this space. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. I'd just like to thank our fantastic panel for taking time out of their very, very busy days to come on. I'd like to thank our wonderful sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you like the show, please like, share and subscribe, and remember, we'll be back again next week for another show, but in the meantime, it's all in the Punchline. Thanks ever so much. Bye-bye.